Good afternoon, good evening, and good day. Good morning to those of you on the West Coast. Bear with me just a moment. I send this email and we'll get started. Let's see. Uh, should be good. Today's date is 21. May. So we are just getting back from returning a U-Haul trailer. Yeah, go figure. Casey's towing stuff on weekend, right? Um, it was supposed to be a work day, but somebody else was working, so I didn't have to. And this time we towed the smallest of the U-Haul trailers, not that weird fiberglass queen mattress thing that you can sometimes find, but their smallest regular enclosed trailer, the 4x8, and you can go a lot faster and get a lot better range than typical with that than the 6x12, their largest enclosed trailer with the dual axles. And then it said notifications work today. Woo woo! And so that means chat is working. Let me see if audio sounds the way I think it should. It does to me, and you guys let me know if you think it does for you as well. And now I need to pull up a photograph. Actually, a series of photographs. Let's see if I'm going to do that with Google or Microsoft or what. Let's see. Google will be fine. Yeah, this will work. Oh man, it's been quite a week. It's been quite a week. Let's start with this. That's the least weirdness. The share screen. And I'm gonna have a rant today. Thank you, Elon. Not that I'm immune to ranting, it's just I don't typically have to do it. And well, it's unavoidable here. Okay, so let's see. Let's change this into a nice blogger reacts view. Reaction to my own photos. So this was at Bennetville. North Carolina. Either way, the reason I took the photo was to share with some folks who are new to supercharging why they might find a nose-in stall. So the reason they have nose-in stalls are for the two SUVs and the upcoming Cybertruck, and not just any old use of the trucks. Um, if you have the ski attachment, the bicycle attachment, a cargo box, or a trailer, the way that the supercharger cables are currently installed in North America and everywhere but V4 superchargers in Europe, the cables aren't long enough to reach without you removing your attachments. And in some cases, that's not quite possible. If you've got the skis or the bikes, where are you going to put them? You got the box, that's too heavy once you've loaded it up. If you've got a U-Haul, it's impossible to remove them once they are disconnected because, or to remove them once they are connected because, as you see, there is no landing gear. There's no crank, there's no electric motor, there's no foot, and it's just not going to happen. And when it's fully loaded, this one fully loaded, I think is what, maybe 300 or 400 pounds, but the other one can get to easily be a couple hundred pounds. And again, with no provision to set it down at height, you're not getting it back up. So some of the new owners, some of the less proficient at backing owners might say, "Oh, hey, look, I can just slide right in there." You shouldn't do that. And this isn't my rant. That's just a this the photo made me think of it. You shouldn't do that because then somebody will come up with the ski box, a bicycle, a rascal scooter on the trailer hitch, or something like that's not a camper or personally owned trailer that you can't remove, and then they gotta wait for you, and that could be a while, especially if you f off somewhere else. I really like the pull behind lane I saw in the video. In a video, looks great for traveling. Yeah, the Tesla does have this in a great many spaces, but not anywhere close to widespread. That seems more common in Europe. A few of them in North America where you kind of pull straight on through, and those are best. But I'm guessing real estate provisions or any number of reasons stop them from doing this. The other thing that makes us do is um, block multiple charging stalls. And as you see, this takes up at least two parking spots on its own, and then I take up two with the vehicle. Sometimes if you leave the end spots open, like the far end or the close end, I might be able to just minimally block one supercharger stall. Or if it's the far one, I can block one less than I normally would. But if you only leave them in the middle, I'm going to take out a whole chunk of them. And I'm not being rude about it. I will move the car, as you saw during the live stream before the blowout. It's not impossible, but like that one guy who was upset. Oh, this guy's got his door open. I need you to move all of your rig. And then by the time I was like stood up to look, the guy had already closed the door, and then the guy stomped off. Yeah, I'm taking up multiple spots, but you can blame Tesla for the fact that this thing can tow, and the sites aren't typically laid out for it. That was at the one next to Santee that Santee also doesn't have um, a pull install, so you have to make do. I can imagine in California this might get you shot. All right, more pictures. That's what we were actually after here. All right, so Monday, yeah, quite a week. Monday, my well, so the air conditioner went out in the house, and the coolant line stopped drawing a vacuum in the car. So Monday was the car's turn, and so here you can see my CHAdeMO adapter. It's good for a good 50 kilowatts. I've never seen that. I've only seen 38 kilowatts. And down here you can see my new CCS adapter. It's good for, it claims, 250 kilowatts. And well, since I've got free supercharging for life of the vehicle, I have limited reason to try it. I will try it before the warranty's up to make sure it even works, make sure the work was done correctly. And then I will definitely be using it on the, I like to tell you guys about when Electrify America or ChargePoint or whoever's doing free charging. I'll definitely be using it for that as well. But this is the CCS adapter here. So now my control board for the charger has been switched out to, or not really the charger, the charge port has been switched out to one that speaks Powerline or CCS. And I'll be putting my CHAdeMO up for sale at some point because I don't need two adapters for the same stations. Yes, exactly, Bennett. I bet the old layout is because they started with, please, can we put these in the corner, out of the way at your Sheetz or Wawa. Exactly what happened there. Wawa, hotel, mall, and now they have a little more clout and gravitas, and they still are getting free spaces. There are places where they pay rent, but a lot of places have let them in for free. It's not saying that the stations are free, just they're not paying an additional rent on top of the hundreds of thousands of dollars of paperwork and equipment and electricity that they had to put in. Um, but now that they have a little more clout and recognition, and the Cybertruck is on the way, I have a feeling that we may see some more spots that accommodate towing. And I've noticed, I don't know if this is just pure happenstance because of the way that the Southeast chargers are laid out, or um, the timing, or just how much consumption I have when I'm towing. I've noticed that since the V11 software update, not the FSD 11, but just like the current software we've had forever now, um, the same one that seems to think that we want to minimize the number of stops, and so we'll charge forever at a station that it's not necessary. It seems to have favored stations that have a pull-in spot or that are less congested when it comes time to direct me to chargers. Like it'll skip chargers even, and well, assuming that I can make it, because here when your consumption goes up off the charts, sometimes you can't skip superchargers. But I've noticed it favors these ones that pull in, and and ones where I can block multiple stalls without impacting as many people. It's not always successful, but it seems to have done a pretty good job. So anyway, that's the side profile of the two charging adapters. This one speaks. This is a this is it's Nax now, but it's not Nax. It's Tesla only. That's actually the handle off of a supercharger, off of a V2 supercharger, and except it doesn't have the aluminum collar, but they're the same thickness. This is not the one on the home wall connectors. This is definitely the one off of the V2 supercharger. Got my headphone cable tangled in the armrest. Um, and then it's just a bunch of wires and cables. And then it goes into here, and it's all mostly putty, but still, uh, you've got a chip buried in there. And then this one's also much heavier than it looks. It's not just a plastic adapter like the J1772 adapter. I guess I could have brought it in from the car and held it up, but I didn't. Here we are. So the next photo should be end on. It's not. So I had a photo end onto these. Let me see if I can't find it for you guys here. I see why. Because I took them in Facebook. So I babe. Let me. I guess I gotta download them. Download. Download because I'm not trying to dox anybody. Right, so then we'll go over here and we'll open up the downloads folder. Should be the last two photos I took. And they are. Let's get them down off the screen that you guys are on, move them somewhere else, and share that application. Share screen. They're telling me that sharing my screen might let people see my screen. Go figure. And the funny thing is, they're telling me this after I'm already sharing my screen, as if I had no clue. So this is end on for the CCS adapter, and it was sunset when we were leaving the Tesla Savannah Service Center, and I couldn't see into the adapter at the time. I picked it up and I'm like, hey, I was going to ask the technician, hey, well, I did ask him, but I answered my own question before he could ponder on it. It's like, hey, can I use this instead of the J1772 and just carry one adapter? And he's like, hold on, yeah, maybe. And then I looked into it and I saw there are no pins on L1 and L2. I told him, I said, hey, there's no pins on L1 and L2. Answer my own question. The answer is no. You cannot just carry the CCS adapter instead of the CCS adapter and the J1772 adapter, which I think is a missed opportunity. I mean, how bad would two pins have been? I mean, yeah, you'd have to do DC and AC switching, but not really, because the car already knows how to do it on its charge port, which is a lot more difficult than on this monster. And the AC would be coming in here, and the DC would be coming in here. And they wouldn't both come in at the same time, because if you've got these two pins, you rarely have these two pins. And if they do exist, they won't be AC charging. Missed opportunity, Tesla. All right, so that is the end on of the CCS adapter. Seriously, I can't just switch. All right, stand by. Let me open this other. Oh, I see what I did. I see what I did wrong. I didn't open a preview. I opened the file. So next up, we will go to this one. Share screen. Don't show me this again. Window. Shadow. All right, so the Shadow adapter is a lot more complicated. This one speaks CAN bus on this side rather than Tesla on the other side. And on the CCS adapter, it just goes straight through and it speaks the power line. So that's how it's a lot cheaper and simpler to make that adapter than this upper monstrosity here. So you've got your DC pins and you've got all of your data ports there. And it only goes one way, so it's interesting that they even have 4 instead of just 2. But what, I think happened here is that, it's actually based on another connector, and, well, it's just easier just to do it this way. Alright, let's close this, and go back here. Uh, yeah, the CCS adapter, just leaves out the AC pins. I thought it was interesting that it only has the COM and DC pins. Yeah, I don't know why they did that, because it's just 2 more pins, and it would have been just the perfect all-around adapter, especially for a new owner. Because I can see them next leaving out the J1772 adapter after they left out, uh, the mobile connector and every other thing you expect to get with the car. Um, if you had to buy an adapter anyway, why not buy a CCS? Yeah, it costs a little more, but now you've got one adapter. They both lock to the car, and it's not a matter of leaving the pins open because that looks exactly like the CCS port on the model. Uh, well, all the European Teslas. There's just CCS2 is just open when the flap is open. There's nothing like, almost everybody else has some sort of flap or cover or plugs for the DC ports, and not Tesla. So what would be the difference there on um, their CCS adapter versus their actual car if it was AC charging? Because the AC pins would be blocked by the connector, and if you're DC charging, the DC pins are blocked by the connector. Then it says you don't really want bare pins out there in the rain, though. Corrosion, not current, which would be why the DC pins are covered on the car side, usually by a flap. Yeah, they kind of are, but they really aren't, because if you're following always be charging on a Tesla Model 3 or S or X or Y in Europe, those pins are just out there in the rain like all the time. Unless the car has a provision for draining that port that the adapter does not. That could be part of it. Looked into the connector a bunch at some point because I want someone to make an all DC low power solar charger for camping. There is one provider out there that's commercialized I don't know if it's on sale yet, but it's commercialized a Chatamo low power DC chargers. That way you could self consume all of your solar. But for Chatamo, you need this on a Tesla. And I'm pointing with the mouse, you can't see it. This. And I don't think there's anything stopping them from slow charging on CCS. So that way they could hit everybody, not just Nissans and Teslas, as long as they can get the voltages right. So you'd want, like 400 to 800 to 1,000 volts at, like, say, 2 to 50 kilowatts, depending on how big your solar array is. And they would have to ramp up and down as clouds come by. I think it's a good idea, though. And then for camping, that's another good idea as well, because then you can charge off of home batteries or solar generators and not have any conversion losses. Like these dudes. So this is what is powering the studio right now. Not just the studio, but the whole house. Not the Ego pole saw. That was just, it's full of oil right now. And when it's full of oil, it leaks. So I had to lay it down so it can't leak. And oops, go back. These are a set of Kimblade wipers. I'm going to try them out when these wipers go to pot. And a towel rack, don't worry about that. But anyway, so these are EcoFlow Delta Pro extra batteries. The outsides of this pyramid, they're not supposed to be stacked like this, but as I said, we just moved some stuff, and I need to do some more cleanup of the garage before all 6 can lay side by side. And no, I didn't pay retail for these things because that's a whole mess of money. I got these 2 from Costco when they were having a special, the 2 main units, and then the extra batteries I got on eBay when somebody mispriced them. I like doing that. 69, nice. So these are going into a these are on the side are called the Infinity port, and what the Infinity port does is it's a DC and AC port, and it allows them to go at their full 3600 watts, so 3.6 kilowatts each, and they hold about 3.6 kilowatt hours of um, energy. So this is roughly 21 kilowatt hours altogether before conversion losses. And they are going into, in this case, they're going into the EcoFlow smart home panel. Again, mispriced on eBay. Love it. Um, these are coming out of the Infinity ports into the bottom of it, and they're running the house right now. They're replacing 10 AC circuits, and I've got 12 left. I had 16 before we got started, but the electrician combined a couple of them for me. And so basically, the only thing not on battery right now, battery and solar. Well, the whole house is already on solar because I've got AC grid tied inverters. Um, the smoke detectors, the dishwasher and disposal, and the baby's room, the washing machine, maybe one other thing. Either way, something I wouldn't need during a power outage, but the fridge, this office, and all the rest of the house, because there was only 10 AC circuits. It can do, when you've got two of them, you can do, you can combine their outputs so that one's on phase A and one's on phase B, and you can power a up to 30 amp um, split phase breaker. But since I don't have any of those backed up right now because the AC was being finicky, my air conditioner goes into overload because the rotor lock, so it would have needed a soft start. But the air conditioner compressor is in need of replacement, so rather than replace it with another gas system like the house shipped with, I'm going to do heat pump. And I was told that the heat pump is going to need more than my little 30 amps, so why bother? Instead of a second battery on each of these units, you could get their dual fuel generator, which runs on gasoline or propane. But as you guys know, I'm allergic to combustion, so um, and not literally. I just the thought I don't like burning stuff. So rather than get their dual fuel generator, plus then you have to stick them outside rather than inside the garage. Anyway, it would auto start and stop that as needed when these two got low, and I mean, it works, but it's not what I was going for. I was going for solar and electric everything. So let's see. Yeah, we could have the AC on there with a soft start, but I chose not to do that because when it comes time that I can afford to switch out the AC unit, it's gonna draw too much, and they'll definitely put them into overload. All right, so I'm gonna close those, and we're gonna go on to other stuff. Let's see. Right, excuse me. So I don't know where else I was going from there, but we had the Tesla shareholder meeting since we last spoke, and that one was quite a lot of stuff. And rather than rehash it, I'm going to point you at the Tesla Life show this week and or this past week, where we kind of went into it in depth there, and there was a lot to unpack. A couple of things that came out that were notable were yet again Elon doesn't understand what people want, and he was taken aback and surprised by the demand for advertising. He understood why we want advertising. He just didn't understand that it was something we actually wanted. He pointed out that when he uses the official accounts or people follow him or whatever, it's preaching to the converted. Um, for the most part, like very few other people that are listening don't at least understand what's going on with the EVs and Tesla and um, all of the other Musk ventures. But there are some people who pretend not to understand that have heard everything, because their livelihood depends on it. They're oil mangates, they're magnets, they're people who really like the sound of the vroom vroom because it makes them feel like they've got manliness and power and blah blah blah. Um, but aside from them, it's all people who already don't hear him speak. So they are going to try some light advertising, and nobody knows how that's going to work because he decided it right up there on stage after Meet Kevin. Kevin Paparath posed the question at him. Um, let's see. I don't need that. Oh, there's a SpaceX launch in 30 minutes. That'll be fun. Axe 2 mission. Anyway, that was one of the big ones. The other one is that they are once again reiterating the Cybertruck is on the way. There were Cybertruck prototypes there, or not really prototypes, but like samples there. Uh, and it says people still ask me where the engine is, or people walk up to me and tell me it looks weird putting a bag of ice in the trunk. Usually, if anybody notices me putting stuff in the trunk and they've never seen it before, they ask if I need help. They're like, um, you need a jump, you need any sort of mechanical assistance. And if they see me putting hot stuff in the what would be the engine bay, they're like, "Oh, that's a good idea." No, it's just keeping the smelly pizza or uh, smelly spicy food out of my cabin. And the question I get a lot is folks asking, "All right, well, when the electricity's out, how far can you go?" I tell them, "You don't." Um, some adventurous people go past zero, but once that's out, you don't. They're like, "Oh, you can't put a gallon of gas in it and just go?" No, there's no provision for gas. Part of the beauty of it. And I don't say it like that. I'm much more uh, kid gloves and friendly about it. Because the way I just said it would come off as condescending. Not that I am. It's just that's how it would come across if I use that tone. What else did they? The Cybertruck samples were there, and JB's Trouble is back. Yep. So those are the super high level. If you want any more than that, go watch the Tesla Life. Was it 306? And you'll know. Another thing that's happened is the Tesla referral program is back. I think I touched on this before. I might not have, but it counts for cars again. And when I say back, I mean it was never gone. It just switched to solar and solar roof for a while. But now they have points, and for a lot of points, you can get FSD, or you can get free supercharging or Tesla accessories, wall connectors, etc. And we talked about Smart Shift last week on Model 3. I think we did. May 12th? Yeah, we certainly did. What is this one? Elon was talking up FSD version, whatever version he's on, and how he almost never has to touch the controls. Um, he tried not to say that, or crowd tried to get him not to say it's coming this year, and he couldn't help himself. He said it's coming. He thinks it's coming this year. I was like, "Don't say it! Don't say it," because he's aware of the memory, and he knows that people have been making fun of him for saying it's coming, it's coming, it's coming, and he explains why it looks like it's coming, and then, well, you find out what you didn't know that you didn't know as you run up on it. Cybertruck. We talked about Cybertruck. Oh, but there are these pictures of the castings. Waiting on my Twitter to load here. Oh, not the entire screen. It doesn't fit in this window. My aspect ratio is much bigger than the 16 by 9. All right, so this is Joe Tedgemeyer. And here we can see 14 May, Giga Texas, Happy Mother's Day, rare flight due to the upcoming Shareholders Day activities. check out these interesting images of castings located in the South Stamping Station. These do look different to me, but what do you think? Check out my YouTube video later today. So here we see the casting section. The door is just not even wide open, it's just partially open, just sitting there. Kind of like Tesla just kind of rolled into the back door and said, let's see what happens here. See if anybody notices these. So we have a couple of what appear to be Cybertruck castings. They have big C's on the side of them. Interesting. And then we did see a couple of Cybertrucks in the Investor Day video with Optimus. Several of Optimuses were standing in front of several Cybertrucks. And that was fun to see. So there we go. Cybertruck, is that you? Where's the video? Give the gift of castings for Mother's Day. Mark of the Big C. Is this be for Cybertruck? Possibly. I mean, it could be semi, but that's unlikely. All right, let's see. Make sure we can tell these apart. Mark the enormous Cybertruck ones with the C. I like it. All right, so we're coming up on the articles that I have selected for this week, and my rant for that. Toyota. They admitted to cheating on crash tests, but that's not the one I thought I was clicking on. On some of these Yaris's, they put this protection in the door for the crash tests that doesn't exist on the real car. Yep. Now, what I was actually looking for was this one over in Bleeping Computer. Toyota. The car location data of 2 million customers was exposed for 10 years. And they're like, oh, there was nothing personally identifiable about it. Just your VIN number, which isn't personally identifiable. But if you hide your VIN number from the public and the police notice, you get yourself into some trouble for being nefarious, typically, and or at least some extra scrutiny, because the VIN number on every car is visible through the windshield. Anyway, so it came from the companies T-Connect, G-Link Lite, and G-Book services between January 2nd, 2012 and April 17th, 2023. The information exposed in the misconfigured database includes in-vehicle GPS navigation terminal ID number, the chassis number, which is the VIN number, and the vehicle location with information and time data. It's not good. While there's no evidence that the data was misused, unauthorized users could have accessed historical data and possibly the real-time location of 2.15 million Toyota cars. So this is something that when we were talking about how Tesla likes to do penetration testing and wargaming and the other security conference type deals, is to prevent stuff like this from happening. And the legacies would be smart to participate in such programs. Thanks. Close the photos page. I'm done with Toyota. Let's load up our articles. This is going to be fun. All right, so shareholder meeting was my first item. Second item is my rant. Oh shoot, I'm already tisking. Let's keep it up before we go into the fun stuff. Just load up a bunch of articles real quick. Most of which I haven't read. It was a busy week, as I said. And then I've got some personal work to do after the show. Some web work I promised them I have not completed. All right. So there are everything we're going to talk about today, all loaded up. Ah, Elon. So some of you know I work from home. I am a computer engineer. I remote into customers' computers and do what needs to be done. Working on stuff, fixing on stuff, changing stuff, making note of what I did so they can get billed for it. Then I sign off and play with my family. There's no reason for me to go in to a site to do this. There was a site that there was a company I worked for where we did this before COVID, where I went into the office, then I remoted into the customers' computers from there, and that was in Virginia. So I had a 40-minute commute on each end of the day for no reason. Um, some of the customers have more security requirements where you have to actually physically touch their computers. I don't deal with those customers at the moment, but that was the only real reason to do it. And even then, it was kind of weird because you go into the customer's secure area and still remote into stuff because what I do doesn't you just don't need to touch the computers. And but that one made sense because I'm not going to build the appropriate connections in my home if that's even allowed by the customer. But anyway, since I'm not dealing with that stuff, I'm working with just generic remote in the computer, do the work, sign out, have a nice day. Uh, I don't need to get in a car to do it, and if I do get in a car to do it, it's just inefficient. So cue Musk. Musk being Musk, just talking out of his butt. He was in an interview with CNBC, and he says this word salad. The problem is he believes this because he's a bad manager. And the problem with that is fine. You don't have to work for him. The problem with that is because other bad managers look up to him because he's rich, and oh, he's so smart. Let's copy him. No, it's a load of hogwash. All right, so here's where we go. Elon Musk says that working from home is morally wrong when surface workers still have to show up. I like Louis Rosman's take on parts of this. It's part of the freaking job. Um, Me as a computer worker, when I'm in the office and the groundskeeper's outside sweating in the heat, am I going to go move my laptop outside in the sun in solidarity with the lawn groundskeeper? Hell no, I'm not going to do that. So his let's read his rant or part of it, and then hey baby, oh you're giving me a pacifier? You don't even use pacifiers. You never have. Oh, you've got don't trip. You got cream in it. Oh, you dropped it. Thank you. Ah, it's Vicks or similar. Ah, thank you. Do you want a bag? You want to say hi to everybody? You don't want to say hi to everybody? That's fine. Hello, Milton. Come here, baby. Hey, say hello. Yeah. You want to change diaper? Yeah, you do? Okay. There you go. All right, so go change your diaper, baby. Yeah. You feel fresh. I promise. Don't touch that modem. He's trying to take us offline. The terrorist is in the house. Huh? Okay, I'll hold this for you while you change it back. No? Psych? Psych? Oh, we can't go for a ride till you change it back? Oh, you're saving it for later? Yeah, you can save it for later. Her car seat is down here. Hi, sweetie. Well, you play back there, and I will go back to this nonsense. All right, so Elon called Silicon Valley engineers part of the laptop class living in La La Land and said they should get off their moral high horse and work from home BS. He said the words. He did not censor himself. This is coming from the guy who faked um, a security incident on his family. It was his security people who did the mess. Anyway, let's see if we can't get the whole quote without watching the video. I don't want to watch the video. Yeah, let's watch the video.
Look, I'm a big believer that people are more productive when they're in person.
They can be, but a lot of people are less productive in person because you got Jimbo coming over and want to talk about how the Pickers did in the big game, and then you've got, Mary Sue distracting people with whatever, and then you've got all the people standing around the water cooler not working. You can do that at home. You can do that in the office. It's just a matter of whether or not you are giving people realistic time frames to get stuff done, because we're not machines. So there will be slack no matter where they are. And then it's a matter of measuring their productivity. There was another billionaire complaining about work from home, saying that some people in his company, a whole department, didn't open their laptops for an entire month, including the managers. So, if that's true, and they got the work done, let's fly in here, and they got the work done, that means you've given them crappy equipment, and you should probably give them equipment they can do their jobs on. If that's true, and they didn't get their jobs done, then you're a bad CEO. Because if the managers are also not doing it, then the buck stops here. So again, that's bad management, not a failure of work from home. Because you can have the same thing happen in person. Where'd you get that sandal? Did you get a sandal? And I've got a sandal. Her sandal. Okay, so anyway, let's continue listening to the nonsense for a moment. I'm not going to finish it.
And really, man, the whole sort of work from home thing. It's like, I think it's. Look, there are some exceptions, but I kind of think that the whole notion of work from home is a bit like the fake Marie Antoinette quote, "Let them eat cake." Mm-hmm. It's like really, you're going to work from home and you're going to make everyone else who made your car come work in the factory. You're going to.
Yes, I am, because you don't have work from home facilities for make the car. If you did, and you could do it properly and didn't cost too much, I don't care where they made the car. I mean, make it in the U.S. because that's one of our things is locally made, locally consumed. Make it in China for the Chinese market, etc., etc. But it's not quite feasible. Again, the groundskeeper, you can't keep the grounds at the office at my house. That's kind of the nature of the work.
To make the people who make your food that gets delivered, that they can't work from home?
They can. Have you seen, even before COVID, the amount of this is really big in the fitness folks. You can get somebody who's got a certified kitchen in their home, and they make your meals ready to eat, not marine MREs, but it's got the right proteins, the right veggies, the right vitamins, and they deliver them to your home. You're wrong, Elon.
The people that come fix your house, they can't work from home?
Hell no, they can't, because my home is where the fixing is needed. My AC was out last week. how was he supposed to fix my AC from his house? If it was a computer software issue, like you guys have fixed my cars from remote support before. I'm sitting in my driveway, the configuration error. You cleared it out on my Model S. The download was stuck. The guy did it from the office because you guys didn't have work from home, but he could have done it from home. It was done. Let's see what Bennett says about this. The folks I worked with that liked going back to the office liked it because they had an office with a door away from their family, and that's fine. I don't mind if somebody wants to not work in the home. That's different strokes, different folks. Um, I work terribly in a bullpen with cubicle walls. Yeah, I've got some cubicle walls here, but they're just stopping my reflection from the back wall there. My sound reflection. When I had the office with a door, I was fine with it. You still had the people stopping through and bugging the crap out of me, but it wasn't as bad as in the bullpens. Let's see. They had office with a door away from their family. The rest of us had, yeah, exactly, open floor plan with calls on speakerphone. Oh man, at that place that I left most recently, before going remote, they had at their old building, they had this guy who would always take his calls on speakerphone at a loud volume, and they had nothing to do with me. I didn't need to hear them, and they happened at a time where either I had my own calls or I had work to do, and they were quite distracting. All right, let's finish some more of his nonsense here.
But you can? Does that seem morally right?
Yes, yes. Again, if I'm working in the office and the guy outside delivering the pizzas to the office, he okay, or the guy is outside cutting the grass, I am not going to go outside in the heat with them because one, there's no moral argument here, and two, it has nothing to do with the job. Their job requires them out there. I'm not saying that it's beneath me. No, I'm saying that to do the computer work, you have to be on the computer. The computer's inside in the air conditioning. Is there a moral failing with that? No. Ah,
That's messed up.
You see it as a moral issue?
Yes.
I mean, I see it more as
And
just
it's a productivity issue, but it's
Yeah.
also a moral issue. People should get off the goddamn moral high horse with the work from home bullshit. Because they're asking everyone else to not work from home while they do.
getting people to do their jobs. I don't care where or how they do them. Now, again, like the guy who had to fix my air conditioner, that had to be done at my physical unit because there was a leak. He fixed it. He left. Where did he take the call? He took the call from his home. Is there anything wrong with that? No. And again, this most of these arguments against work from home are from bad managers, and Elon is not a good one. I'm not saying he's the worst. He makes a lot of really stupid mistakes, and look at the way that he does culling. Several times at Tesla, just across the board, cut people, good people who um, were beating their metrics. When he got into Twitter, he just fired half the company without realizing that, oops, we need some of those people. So you won't find many people arguing that he is a good manager. You can argue that he gets results and he makes money. Yeah, you can't argue that he is a good manager. And like I said, like that other billionaire, the one who claimed that nobody opened their laptop for a month. I mean, yes, it's a different skill set. I mean, it doesn't mean that you're a bad manager in person. For him, I would say he probably is. If I work for him, I don't know. I don't know. I'd love to have one of the Musk companies on my resume. Do I want to deal with the issues involved in actually making it happen? I don't. Plus, I'd have to stop doing this, and I don't want to stop doing this. Let's see. Let's continue. Oh wait, Bennett's got some more. The logical extension of this is of his BS is airline pilots and soldiers have to be away from their family for weeks or years, so sleep at work. And yes, he would actually argue that. I'm wondering at this point if part of the underlying concern for this is that if people work from home, they don't need to buy Teslas. It's not true. Look, I work from home. I'm driving a Tesla now. Yeah, I had it before. I was working from home, but I would still need a car because I live in a car dependent city. And then we want to go see the world. And on the weekends, what do? We go on road trips, so it's not a matter that I won't use your car. Best perk of remote work is nobody at work has offered me a pony. I love it. Good callback. Good callback. We don't know the veracity of this, but the allegations are that Elon harassed somebody on one of the SpaceX planes, and as compensation or cover up or whatever, offered a pony to the employee, and I could see that happening. I totally could see that happening. Um, I would bet his defense would be like, make her draw a picture of my stuff and see. Maybe there's a hair in my drink. An eyelash. I don't know if it's mine or my wife's. Anyway, let's see how much more of this I can deal with before we go on. Jacksonville is mostly car dependent. Yeah, exactly. Most places in the U.S. are mostly car dependent. We've got this whole single zoning thing, and all these subdivisions. So HOAs are proliferating, and car dependency is proliferating. Like even like in some of the cities where it's not like single family zoning, it's being designed in such a way that, except for like the larger older cities like New York and similar, where if you can afford to live in the city, you might not be able to afford to live in the city without a car. Let's see.
And yet
It's wrong.
there's still pushback, by the way. It's still
Yeah.
going on. This battle is still happening. I mean, leaders of organizations, and I speak to plenty of them, I want people back. I want people back. 3 days a week, they're still battling.
And just because you paid for a building is not an argument to put me in the building. I mean, you're the boss, so whatever, but that doesn't mean I have to work for you to work in the building. Like your competitors are going in circles around you. What you need to do is cut your losses. And even if you still have the building, if I'm not in it, you can run the air at an uncomfortable temperature. You don't have to pay the water or electricity. You don't have to have a lunch staff there for a cafeteria if it's a big enough building. You don't have to pay the same level of insurance on it because it's not full of people who are going to injure themselves.
It's not clear that
Yeah.
Or you could have a smaller building that has, the people who actually need to be on site. You could have hot offices for those folks that want to come in or that only need to come in occasionally. Or the groundskeeper could, do his paperwork in the same office where I would have been.
it's ever going to change. People are not coming back
No,
5
look,
days a
look,
week.
the laptop class is living in La La Land. Okay, as I said, you can't. But look at the cars. Are people working from home here? Of course not. So the people were.
I love it. They could have service centers with that money. Yes, they could. They certainly could. And obviously, some of the technicians would have to be able to turn the wrenches. But again, your car is a big batch of servers. It's at least 3 to 10 servers. So, like I said, they've done it before. And I'm sure they've done it from home before back during COVID. They've adjusted parameters and worked on the gateway and did stuff like that without ever touching the car. Diagnoses happen remotely with Tesla. Again, if you don't want to hire remote at your companies, that is perfectly fine. But to convince everybody else that this is a moral failing and that they shouldn't do it either, get off your GD moral high horse.
Building cars, servicing the cars, building houses, fixing houses, making the food, making all the things that people consume. It's messed up to assume that yes, they have to go to work, but you don't.
How's it messed up? Again, if I'm meeting my requirements, wherever, I mean, yeah, it would be if I did my work from the beach, which I can't do because it's against the contracts. But if I were, out there doing the work from the beach, sipping on Mai Tais, which again, I don't drink alcohol and some of this alcoholic beverage. Again, though, at the same time, I wouldn't judge if somebody was doing that and getting their work done, but I can see the optics if it was like leisure. But look at this room. It's gray. It's it's got computers. It's I can close the door, I get my work done. I leave the room, watch television with my family, go out to the park, whatever. I'm not looking down my nose at these other people. I mean, work has to be done physically if you're dealing with physical product or if you're in certain types of customer service. I deal with a lot of customer service folks just on the phone or on chat. Moral Arguments Billionaires would be a funny book. Speaking of books, I've got Timothy's book right around the corner there. I should probably hold it up, but I can't reach it with this cord. Um, yeah, that would be a fun book to read. It might be quite humorous. Let's see what else he has to say about this. I watched the whole thing, and then that part of the segment, it just really stood out for me. Like, I can't even say what I wrote as my note to talk about it, because it's a certain level of family friendliness I like to keep with this show. And if it wasn't an interview, he broke some of it right there.
How is that? That is, it's not just a productivity thing. I think it's morally wrong.
Although productivity is definitely impacted too, and the ability of people to
Yes,
learn,
I
and
agree.
I mean, on and on.
People don't learn well remotely, that's fine. Other people don't work well remotely, also fine. As long as you are measuring and dealing with it correctly. But uh, just because Jimmy Sue can't handle remote work doesn't mean that I can't. And just because he can't doesn't mean that none of us should.
Listen, I
So, I
agree
mean,
with
look,
you, but
people will disagree with me about this, but it's like,
so if you want to work at Tesla, you want to work at SpaceX, you want to work at Twitter, you got to come into the office every day.
yes, I mean,
His whole thing about, at least 40 hours and then you can work remote. What's magical about the hours that I'm putting in the building? And the only reason he's even okay with you working hours outside the building is because he knows that a lot of the employees wouldn't come back for those extra hours if they had to drive in. Oh, I solved the problem with the retweets. Let me drive in the car real quick and get it done. No, crap. Let me just open the laptop. Dot dot dot. Oh, I fixed the retweets. Send. All right. He's got I mean, he's always been a weird dude, but like he's gotten more weird since the whole COVID situation and the politicians hounding him. But it says it's funny, especially very funny, especially to hear you can't learn remotely from folks that had tech jobs before going to college for it. Yes.
I mean, like I'm not saying, I'm saying like, look, put 40 hours in, and frankly, it doesn't even need to be like, Monday through Friday, you could work Monday through Thursday. And I'm also not saying no one should take, I mean, I think people should take vacations. Like I work 7 days a week, but I'm not expecting others to do that.
How much sleep do you get, by the way?
Now the flexible work weeks, I like those, and saying, hey, you must put a minimum of X amount of hours in per contract. That's fine. That's fine. Um, that's also how you end up with the water coolers because uh, there's only so much productive time. So like if it's like, hey, you must complete X projects, like what do? You make widgets. All right, I need you to make 80 widgets this month, and that's your quota, and the rest of the time is yours. It's fine. Or make 80 widgets while also finding a way to increase your output. That's fine. But I just he's out of touch. So another way, how do you sleep at night? He barely does. He gets 6 hours is what he says next, and he talks about how he tried doing less and it didn't work. And I think that was the end of uh, basically what we were getting at here. So I'm glad that we were able to have a discussion about that. And man, I don't think I'm through with this, but let's move on. To another Tesla story. All right, so Tesla's offering, according to Reuters, Tesla's offering discounts of $1,300 on some U.S. Model 3s, Model 3 cars website. Let's see, offering discounts of $1,300 on cars in inventory. Yeah, we've seen that before. You go to shop at Tesla, or not shop at Tesla. Go to Tesla.com/Model 3. We go to order now. It's a new picture. I like it. Can't order now? Where'd the mouse go? It's not graded out. Come on now. There we go. My biggest complaint about doing the show on the Mac is that it doesn't always register my clicks. All right, so I want to search inventory. I don't want to customize one. I don't want the details on the tags. It used to kind of like jumpy there. Let's see. Substitute existing inventory there that way. Not sure. Use whatever zip code you think I'm in. So Model 3s, and there we go. 42,910 down from 44,240. And remember that the inventory viewer is not the best. It's like there could be 12 of these configured exactly this way, and it'll only show one until it's gone. There's one in Savannah, Model 3 rear-wheel drive. Nice. Savannah. I was just there. This one's in Charlotte. Because of that, it makes the inventory look really thin. Yeah, so most of them are showing a discount. And then the actual units will have discounts for age, miles, and if they were a demo. All right, moving on. This one's coming from WTMJ TV in Milwaukee. State Patrol dash cam highlights the dangers of speeding 100 miles per hour on the freeway. I hammered you with tickets. 102 miles per hour in the rain is reckless driving, man. The trooper told the driver. That speed's gonna kill somebody. Needless, the fact that, if I were to encounter this, I might not survive. It brought up some points, and I've noticed this around the country, that people were already driving excessively fast, but after the pandemic, the speeds that they've been doing just ramped way up. So like yesterday when I was towing, I was going 65 the whole way. Trailer says go 55, but it was positively tiny, and I was driving in 70-mile-an-hour zones, so I didn't want to be too much of a rolling roadblock if I didn't need to be. And so I expected to get past, people doing the speed limit at 70, people doing 75 to 80, no problem. Like you see it. But several times yesterday, I was positively spooked. Like whoa, where'd that car come from? And it just, and then the speed at which they passed me was greater than 20 miles an hour, faster than what I was doing. Greater probably than 30 or 40 miles an hour faster than I was doing it. And with the reduced presence of law enforcement, reduced traffic, and some of these folks felt invincible. And the article says, oh, well, also because modern cars are smoother and easier to drive at high speeds and quieter and blah, blah, blah. That's not really an excuse not to look down at your speedometer, just like you should be checking all of your mirrors. So the point of this was slow down, and I wanted to discuss with you guys about excessive speeding. Another point I also wanted to bring up is they pointed out somewhere in here their local requirements for excessive speed. So driver asked, "Can you give me a warning? A slap on the wrist, man." Not for 88 and a 70, Triple Brown replies. He believes there are two main reasons. First, light traffic during the early days of the pandemic. That's not what I was. Oh, here we go. So over 25 miles an hour on the interstate in their local zone is $326.50 fine, 6 demerit points, insurance rate hikes, and 15-day license suspension. That made me point out that if you do faster than 80 miles an hour anywhere in Virginia, or faster than 20 miles an hour faster than the speed limit in Virginia, they will stealth remove your freaking license. Like, it just gets suspended, and not a 15-day. We're talking like you've done something wrong and you got to do all sorts of stuff to get it back. Kind of suspension. So that's why the fastest you ever saw me do in Virginia was 79 miles an hour in a 70 mile an hour zone. It helps that the car lies the heck to you. On the Teslas, at least all of mine, and all the ones I've driven, either rented or loaner cars, they've all been at least 1 mile an hour under the ground speed. And in fact, when you hook up any sort of diagnostic device, they'll tell you the true speed, but that true speed doesn't match what's on the speedometer. It's usually down by 1. Anyway, so there are definite, aside from the chance of accidentally ruining someone's life on any level, from just destroying their car and putting them in massive debt to vehicular manslaughter, there are consequences. And as I like to say, there are no accidents, only crashes. Just like with firearms, there are no accidents, only negligence. So just be mindful, be aware, and I was hoping you guys had some stuff to say about excessive speed. If you do, pop it in the chat. If you're watching this on replay, pop it in the comments. I'm curious. This one I didn't read, but the concept of nukes have been coming up in my circles lately, between nuclear waste as energy and nuclear reprocessing. I think France or Japan does this, or both, and for some reason we don't. It used to be illegal. It's not illegal anymore. There's, I think that would be pretty cool right there, to see the nuclear waste reprocessed into energy again in this country. And the third safest energy source of the clean energy, you've got solar and wind, then nuclear. And one of the examples, let's see, who was I watching? Johnny Harris, the last one. He said if you have a town of 1,000 people, it would take something like 60 years before you had your first nuclear death, and even longer before you had your first solar or wind death. Whereas a significant portion of the town would be injured by the coal, not just the emissions, but by the whole coal process each year. So wanted to have the discussion with you guys on that as well. Bennett says regarding speeding, sounds like a bad joke or stereotype, but most folks I've seen unhappy with only 10 over on Florida I-95 for driving pickups or stickers complaining about the economy. Yes, indeed. And what's even more funny is they're usually driving a lifted pickup, or worse, a Carolina squatted pickup, and complaining about how expensive everything is while doing 30 over. When if you drive your brick through the air at slower speeds, it would get better fuel economy. Recycling nuclear energy, we'll see how well that goes. It goes very well. Again, France or Japan or both have been doing it for decades. We've been doing it here in the US. Shooting that fly, it's getting aggressive. We've been doing it at Argonne National Laboratories for decades, but that's super small scale because it's a lab. But it's pretty cool stuff. Folks really do downplay the health impacts of air pollution. Yeah, and this is like not even necessarily counting the cancers and stuff. Like, literally, I mean, when you think about it, what do you die the fastest without? First, air, clean air, but then water, and then food. Assuming that you're in an environment that is compatible with homeostasis. Obviously, if you're in a high or low pressure environment or extreme temperatures, that will also affect things, assuming you don't have a spacesuit or wetsuit or whatever. But just normal everyday situation, you need clean air, clean water, and healthy food. Is it pollen getting bad, or is it a gas speaker plant? Or both? Or both. Zachary, hello, good to see you. Yeah, we've had quite a discussion so far. We've talked a little bit about news. We talked about adventures in my life. We talked about Elon and moral failings of work from home. That was fun. And then we talked about before we got into the nuclear. We talked about a Tesla discount if you were buying a new inventory Model 3. Oh wow! Thank you, Zachary. Thank you for your great work. I appreciate it. Thank you very much for the super chat. Oh yeah, we did talk about ponies. Allegedly. I mean, we literally talked about them, but the alleged ponies we talked about. Yes. So yeah. So I like this idea of nuclear. I'm not necessarily saying we need more nuclear plants, but I'm saying that I would rather a nuclear plant than a gas plant or any number of things, and we can combine them with solar. They don't have to be dangerous. We have to respect them because, again, nuclear accidents are not accidents; they're negligence, just like guns. And sometimes it's corruption and lies, like where we found out, like, oh, it's the wrong concrete, or no, this part wasn't up to spec. But again, that's not an accident. That is negligence. So let's see what we've got in store next. So here's one I didn't read. I saw the headline. I'm like, we got to talk about it. And here it is. Zachary said, we have to ask Elon if working from home for free, it's okay promoting sustainable transportation and energy. And he would say, oh, yes, yes, let's do it. He's not perfect, and he's right about a lot of stuff, but he's wrong about so much stuff. Like he's been wrong about everything related to the virus. For instance, other than some of the conspiracy theories that have some merit to them, but that wasn't the point. Because just because it may have come from somewhere doesn't mean you don't got to deal with it. Anyway, Porsche EV is coming with 800-mile range and a 15-minute recharge time. So the 15-minute recharge time, I would say, yeah, blah, 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 except we've seen that Chinese prototype running around with a 20-minute recharge time. And it uses I don't know if they were solid state or semi-solid state batteries, but we know it exists with the appropriate charger and appropriate batteries. So 800-mile range is interesting because so far, the most we've heard of is about 500 miles. Maybe, what was it? What's Lucid get up to? 500-600 miles, and then the Cybertruck maybe, and the Plaid Plus was supposed to be over 500 miles. And then I didn't even have an article for this, but the Chevy Silverado EV work truck with the large battery is going to get 450 miles according to Chevy, which is really cool. Because several reasons. One, that's a nice range, especially when you cut it by towing. And two, it prompts everybody else who doesn't yet have a truck on the market to compete. So we've got the Ram is not out yet, and the Cybertruck is not out yet. And if Chevy really can do 450 miles EPA, this is going to make Ram and Tesla have to compete. They have to bring something to the table, because if you come late like these two, and you can't keep up. Now, where these two could still compete with shorter range, aside from being more compelling, like they have more features, blah, 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 is say you have a 350-mile range while towing. If you can recharge faster than the Chevy can recharge, thus that you get to your destination faster. That's one way to do it. Or if Chevy is cheating, basically, they're just putting a Hummer pack in a more aerodynamic vehicle to the point where you've got 200 kilowatt hours. It's going to cost you more to fill it, cost you more to maintain it, etc., etc. But assuming they're using a normal size pack and they've achieved this with aerodynamics and good motors and inverters, then it means that Ram and Tesla have to bring their A game and not just, hey, this is good enough. We'll get it on the next one. So let's see what this article has to say about it. Say goodbye to range and charge anxiety. The other thing to worry about with these 15-minute recharges, if it's not using the same technology as that Chinese car, is does that affect the longevity of the car? You notice that on these phones with fast charge, you've got two things that happen. They let you turn off fast charge because it can impact the life of the battery, or you can do what I do and set your charge limit. This one is 80%, 85%. Just like on the car, I set to 90% all the time. So that way it can fast charge, but it never gets to the end where it has to slow down and you're not getting to 100%. And it makes the battery last longer, which I don't know why I care. I'm on the trade-in program with I get a new one every year, and then somebody else is able to get a good used phone that's been babied. I guess maybe if I choose not to, because I don't always take my options. Like sometimes if the next phone isn't compelling, or if the trade up that year costs money and I don't think it's worth the money, I'll skip a trade in. So that could be it too. Anyway, yeah. So fast charging is a concern when it's going that fast, but if they're doing it right, then it's not a concern. Let's see. How do they do this? They explain why lithium is the gold standard, despite its flaws. One interesting observation was specifically using silicon instead of graphite, as is the current norm. Silicon anodes could increase battery capacity tenfold and enable charge times of under 15 minutes. I think that's what the Chinese were doing with their battery. Let's see. Silicon can expand by as much as 300% when it absorbs lithium, which could damage the electrodes and reduce battery life. So the same problem we have with the lithium dendrites. And I think that the 90 packs were Tesla's first foray into silicon in the batteries, and it didn't go so well. But it didn't say they ever stepped back from it, so it's probably still fine. I bet you the 100 packs and newer still have silicon in them. But the article's not wrong that most companies are not using silicon in the batteries. The big breakthrough comes from solid state. Yep. So it's using solid electrolyte. The problem with solid electrolyte is the closest we've seen in commercial production yet is semi-solid, and Toyota's been promising solid state batteries since basically the Prius came out. And it says, I'm really disappointed nobody's planning to build a pickup truck for the US. That's the smaller size of old pickups. Making 2010s pickups requires a huge battery. Exactly. Something like the size of like the 95 Nissan pickup I drove. I love that little truck. You can just reach over the edge of the bed, put stuff in it. It was very fuel efficient. You've got the Ford Maverick now, but they aren't really talking about electrifying that. Like there's a hybrid that we've seen, plug-in hybrid prototype running around. That's cool, but they don't all need to be giant. I would love a small pickup truck. Semi-solid Gatorade. I love it. It's got electrolytes. Brawny, it's got what plants crave. Yes. That's right, exotic geeks. All right, let's see. Lithium-based semi-solid batteries seems so if you combine silicon anodes and semi-solid batteries, that's great. But can you do it next year or whenever they're implying this thing's coming out? Let's see, 800 miles in the medium term. So no, they're not. Okay, so the article just drew me in. Buggers. Today's charging time of 22.5 minutes was achieved from 80%, and that's normal. That's fine. basically people want 30 minutes or less, be on their way for another 2-3 hours or more. Let's see. There's no problem with electric distribution and availability. Don't fall for the hype. Batteries are warranted for 30 days. 30 cycles or 60 days. Don't say who pays if they melt. I think he's joking. Now we're talking. If we keep the price less than 30K, it's a Porsche. Oh wait, it's a Porsche. Never mind. This will definitely be a game changer for Porsche. Right now, the Taycan has Hyundai level battery life. Yeah, it does. The VW definitely needs to step up their game. If it has VW technology, they'd be wise to start using it on mainstream stuff as well. Yes, absolutely. Eddie was also wondering about the small truck. I think they would be surprised if they would give us another chance with small trucks. Like, yes, it's more profitable to make the big trucks, but just do what Tesla does and make your profit level what you want. I want to make 30% of this truck. Here it is. And then make it compelling on the inside. Don't make it all Tonka truck plastic unless your customer is a contractor with work gloves. If you're going to sell this to normal people, make it soft touch plastics that work with work gloves, and see what happens. I think you'd be surprised. And then stop marketing bigger is better, bigger is safer. If you're small, you're going to die in a crash, because that's not helping. You'd think we hear more about it if it was really that close. Yeah, just after skimming through, it feels more like what Toyota's been doing for decades now. Solid state's coming. It's the way. My cousin with the Prius Prime recently bragged about traveling 60 miles to a friend's house and not having to switch to gas. His friend had a charger at their home. He used. Yeah, exactly. On my Volt, what really made me look at the Teslas after using both Volts is like I would get home a mile out from home, and then it starts burning gas for no reason because it needs to warm the engine before it starts using the engine. It never did, while it was warming, it never did put any of that as traction to the wheels. So and then I pull up to the charging station and I burned a tablespoon of gas that didn't do anything except make the air more polluted. And then Tesla can't switch to gas. So, and I had a good used one, so that was part of it too. Let's see here. Then we got this one from Electric. This one is cool to me, especially after what you saw in my garage there with the batteries. This backyard gazebo can power your house with solar. Arca Energy just launched a power gazebo in the US, which the startup says is capable of delivering 4.3 kilowatts of generating capacity. Can I get this past my ARB? They already don't like regular pergolas, but they have approved some. I wonder if I can get this done. Let's see. They already have presence in India. It utilizes 14 watts per square foot of solar capacity. That's not bad. It's available in 4 different configurations from 180 square feet to 312, with photovoltaic capacity ranging from 2.4 kilowatts peak to 4.3 kilowatts peak. That's not bad. And the power tiles consist of black on glass frameless PV modules that offer 77 watts of power with 14.5% power density. That's lower than you'd like, but at the same time, it's probably going to be light enough to fit on the structure and also serve as something you can, entertain underneath. The panels are mounted at 7 to 14 degree slope to catch the sun efficiently. It's got a 25-year warranty and wind speed protection of 120 miles per hour and 30 pound per square foot of snow load. So you don't have to take this down in the fall. And here in hurricane country, it's good for the small ones. Insurance will take care of the big ones. Arca Energy says its solar gazebos will ship from its warehouse in Allen, Texas, starting this month. All right, let's see how much they are talking about. And if it's worth fighting an HOA over. And this isn't an advertisement per se. Like, I'm not advertising them, but we've just gone to their sales site. And let's see. You can get them to give you a quote. Get the 8x7, the 7x8. Hang on. let's see. So I've always disliked these call for prices. Give us your email, and then we'll tell you more. I mean, it's a valid sales model, but it's not modern. You let me buy it online, and then if I talk to you, you can customize it or give me a better price. So they apparently have both models. Basic for user per year. Oh, this is their project management software. I don't give a crap about that. So if you just want it done, you got to talk to them. Yeah. Anyway, we'll look at that later. All right. So next up, we've got. This is the way. Yes. Would love to see a pergola that folds out like a tent with solar already on it, or give me a solar carport. I would think that you might be able to use this as a carport. It'd be worth giving them your info and finding out, assuming that they're not going to harass you. Most places that do this don't have the time to do that, but like man, car dealerships getting off their list is hard, and I know why. I used to sell cars, but I did not have the patience for the hounding. I was trained in it. I was much nicer about it than what I've received. All right, so this one is coming from the street. So let's see if they even know what they're talking about. Because being the street, they're gonna be what Elon calls boring bonehead questions. We'll contact sales on Google. Oh, that's a good idea on Google Voice. Yes, that way you can just nuke their number. I keep forgetting I've got that. I need to text my number to make sure it doesn't expire because I've got my name in my Google Voice number finally. It's been a long time since that happened. Let's see. This is after the shareholder meeting. Elon announced that Tesla would try some advertising. Yeah, we talked about that. Consumers either have preconceived ideas about the electric vehicle manufacturer or unaware of the group's technological innovations. Yeah, I guess we talked on that too. But they say, for example, the large majority of consumers are convinced that Tesla cars are very expensive. Yeah, Eddie and I and all of you guys, I'm sure, run into this all the time. People think that electric cars are more expensive than they really are. Like, oh, I don't. You must be nice to be rich to have a Hyundai Ioniq 6. I just combined two of the Hyundai Kia group cars there, but wait, no, the Ioniq 6 is real now. But yeah, so people think that because you've got an electric car that it must have cost $80,000 to $200,000, and you must be loaded. Whereas what they don't realize is the average selling price of cars in America has gone up to $45,000, and many of the electric car models available for sale here are starting at cheaper than a Camry. Cheaper than the Camry you'd be looking at if you also could afford an electric car, which you can at $28,000, especially $28,000, and then you take the tax credit out. Yeah, they all seem to think they're all Model S, but not just Model S. Model S, P100D with Ludicrous, and why do I say that? Because that was more expensive than the Plaid. The price has come down. Yes, it's been up and down and up and down and up and down, but it's cheaper than the original Ludicrous cars, especially if you add inflation. All right, let's see. So yeah, there's more talking about. They spent more time talking about the advertising than they did about the title. The title is stunning Cybertruck features, and judging by this, it's not all new. No door handles and removable side mirrors. We've known this from the beginning. Well, not from the beginning, but because the original one had door handles. They look like Model S door handles and scare the crap out of me because I went through 6 Model S door handles on my one car, which has 4 doors. Anyway, the vehicle, Tesla's most recent passenger vehicle, unveiled in November of 19, it's getting up there in age already, isn't it? Is due to go into production in the coming weeks at the Austin plant, with the first deliveries expected at the end of the third quarter. All right, so that part wasn't stunning and revealing that it's coming out this year. And it also isn't stunning and revealing that the mirrors are removable or that it doesn't have door handles. We've known this for a while. To make fans wait for several months has been what? That's an awkward sentence. Musk has been publishing small details about the vehicle to build expectation and maintain enthusiasm. New features. That's not new. Not new at all. Yeah, he tweeted it, but that's not new. And he didn't imply it was new. And we even on this show we talked about the states where it's okay to have one or no mirrors on the outside. Why were we talking about that? Because Musk already said they were removable. Excuse me. From the looks of things, Cybertruck owners will be able to customize their vehicles using the fire emoji. The tech mogul indicated that the pickup will have a stunning package of features and options manufactured by third parties. And we talked about that with the tweets and videos by Matthew Dunnigan Ryan and others. Cybertruck option packages and third-party add-ons will be fire. What car companies think people want? Just different colored Corvettes. Yeah, they're all Corvettes. What people actually want? Tanks. Haven't waited in pre-sale line like I did for the Cybertruck since college at GameStop for Halo 2. Pretty much right, yeah. But for me, it was also the Model 3 before I even knew what it looked like. The best door handle is no door handle. Initial production 250,000 units a year. We saw that at the shareholder briefing. And so there's nothing new here. The street. Hopeful. Doesn't help that 60 Minutes put out a YouTube video the other day that was segments from years ago stitched together regarding EVs, self-driving. Look it up. So much Volt talk. I shall. Yeah, it's always annoying when they do that. Like you've got all this new stuff, like new good stuff that you're doing, and then all of a sudden you want to do a tour down history lane without telling people that you're looking back. All right, this is Clean Technica. How about these tiltable, portable solar PV panels? They're coming from a company that makes the floating panels, and that's all I read. So let's see here. A German company that focuses on floating solar power plant solutions has come up with something novel. Introduced tiltable, portable panels. These skip solar panels from Sin Power are ideal for something like camping or mobile work sites where you move location frequently. Hey, there you go. Put them on a carport. They've achieved 750 megawatts of installed floating power and another 100 megawatts of installed land-based power. I'm not seeing how. I mean, like I can see there's like a counterweight, but like, do you manually tilt these things? You don't need to be anchored into the ground, which is nice. Also make some power solution for some sensitive off-grid areas where you aren't allowed to mount stuff into the ground. Get some ideas already. But then will they lower? Or will they not? According to the company, they'll remain standing even in strong winds. Don't ask me the magic involved here. It looks like a freaking counterweight. There's a pendulum involved, so basic science. But how sure is the company about this really holding up in windy conditions? Apparently very. Tipping over can be ruled out even without anchoring modules to the ground. Okay, cool. Redesigned open ground mounted agrivoltaic system. Oh, agrivoltaics. You can have your garden under this thing. I mean, obviously, if you do a farm, like a huge farm, it's gonna be more than that. But like, if we do this at home, we're looking at agrivoltaics in the garden rather than a crop. That's cool. Eddie says, Cybertruck will always be a concept vehicle vaporware till I see one rolling. I'm sticking with my prediction of around Christmas time, Eddie. You'll see a handful of them, and then they'll pause. They'll assess what everybody's saying, and then they'll be everywhere, just like Model 3 was. I want to see those panels in high wind. Absolutely. Like they need to have like a video or something. Like don't just say we assure you they're gonna make it in the wind. I'm gonna save this one for later and come back to it as well. All right, so then Clean Technica is asking EVs versus hybrids? No contest. You may have heard people feverishly battling EVs versus hybrids. Let's see what their conclusion is. Two types of EVs, battery and hybrid. Yeah. Also fuel cell, which is a type of hybrid as well. I didn't read it, I just saw the headline. Senator Rick Scott, really? Trying to cohort of other Republican fossil fuel sycophants and introduce directing independent research to yield carbon assessment regarding electric vehicles or Dirty Car EV Act. Seriously, you people. Mercedes will develop only electric vehicle architectures and will adapt them to accommodate ICE vehicles when it makes business. Oh, that's kind of cool. They're going the opposite direction. Instead of shoving an EV in an ICE, they're going to shove an ICE in an EV. Are there any pickups yet that aren't hand built? Pretty sure even the Rivian and Ford are working at Lucid speed so far. I would like to be wrong. I think Lucid's not Lucid. I think Rivian's picking up, and Ford is definitely at the Lightning plant. That doesn't mean they're working at full speed, but I wouldn't call them hand built. And then the Hummer, even though it is built at a factory, like an assembly line factory, I would not be afraid to call that one hand built. Because if you could only make 24 in a month or a day or super slow, then why not crank the bolts by hand at that point? Hybrids is the gateway to going full electric. Exactly. I started with hybrids, then I went to plug-in hybrids, and here I am with no tailpipe. Let's see here. So aside from these lawmakers trying to mess with it, what are they rolls right off your tongue, doesn't it? Even the acronym is stupid. Like, not only did you see what they did, why is it Dirty Car EV? Why isn't it just Dirty EV or Dirty Car? Come on, you people are lame. People fighting this, come on. Let's see, and I should say not lame. I should say boring. Yeah, you people are boring. Lame is insensitive. Not laughing at that, but laughing at their thought process here. The Act's goal is to conduct a study on true carbon footprint of EVs and research ramifications of worldwide EV usage on the country's electrical grid. So they've already decided how they want it to come out, or they're going to pay for it and be mad at the results. Because there's an article I did not include that I should have about how one of the largest refineries in North America just rolled themselves out one of the largest PV arrays in North America, so they didn't have to pay for the electricity to mine their dynamo juice. Predictable. He's boringly predictable. Yes, he is. The problem is in the acronym for the Act. Predetermines the dirty end result of the suggested research. Yes. Actual peer-reviewed research is objective and that can point to validity and reliability. It doesn't start with a foregone conclusion that isn't really research, and it's a position wrapped up in opinion, couched in hyperbole, and injected with political rancor. I like that. All right, so I'm done with this. We already know the answer. EVs are cleaner. They don't burn fossil fuels. Hybrids are a good set of training wheels, and it's rife with political fighting. It may not actually say that, but I got bored reading it halfway through. um, the Tesla bot becomes less of a sideshow as impressive new footage of the robots emerge. And so this was a video clip seen at the shareholder meeting, and we can see a couple of Cybertrucks here in the factory, with a couple of Optimuses. And by a couple, I mean at least 3 in the frame of Cybertrucks, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 Optimuses. There we go. Oh, okay, good. This is coming from Tesla, which means I have to mute it because them and their music. We'll turn on captions. Now, if I saw that, like just a gang of slow-moving Optimuses coming at me, I might be a little unnerved. Right, so the motor choke control, it's stepping and won't crush an egg. It's a real egg. Should have put it in a bowl and cooked it instead of throwing it on the floor. What a waste. Environmental discovery and memorization. So they're trying to show us this is using the same autopilot computer that we drive with today. And I like how it's training off the human, but then when they show it, it's slow as molasses. But hey, it's a start. Greetings, Timothy. We were talking about your book. I was gonna go get it, but my headphone cable isn't long enough. Just asking questions. Y'all should do a head-to-ground, head-to-head ground-to-tire comparison with ice. Yeah, why not? If you want to start that, and we bring you on, and we can talk about it. Not today, but like on like maybe next week or something. Yeah. Hit me up on, I guess, Twitter. Yeah. Let's see. Yeah, so we saw some stuff from Optimus, and it was kind of a cool video. And next up, Clean Technica makes a proclamation regarding FSD that I found intriguing. I, again, didn't read the article. Like I said, it's been a busy week. Just stuff breaking, stuff getting fixed, driving a trailer. I really wish auto steer would come in when towing, because if your load is so irregular that you can't auto steer, you can turn it off. And I get not auto turning and FSDing and navigate on autopilot. That's tougher. And I definitely get not auto lane changing because the car may not know its length. But I'd argue that as long as it can see the end of the trailer, it should be able to auto lane change as well. But yeah, not having to do all the micro corrections would have been nice on some of the less than maintained roads where I was falling into the truck ruts. So anyway, the first notable improvements in 1.5 years. Really, what do you consider to be first? Because some of the stuff recently has still been all right. Less error prone. Oh, he expected it based on the hype. Yeah, some of the stuff Elon says and the people close to him. Like I said, I've determined that it isn't necessarily a lie, but it might not apply to the areas that we drive the cars. No need to recalibrate the cameras. They do that every drive constantly. Some people claim it's good and they can drive long distances without intervening. Sometimes I can do that, sometimes I can't. Based on where you drive, probably. Secondly, I expected some seemingly simple issues to be fixed pretty promptly. Yeah, me too. Hadn't happened. Third, with all the claims about Tesla's massive pool of data can make FSD capable anywhere, I'm shocked AI hasn't learned how to drive decently in some of the simplest driving environments imaginable. I agree on the ones I've seen it mess up on, but I've also seen it do some pretty amazing feats. Millions of, or many FSD owners who share your opinion. Yeah, I can see your opinion. Some are still bullish. One example I postulated previously that Tesla's FSD problem is a seesaw problem. Oh, that's you. Yes, it does seem to get better and worse and better and worse. With that out of the way, let's get on to the one notable improvement I've noticed since version 11. Let's see. And that's since getting the 100 safety score. Oh, okay, so you've been doing this as long as me. Good. The improvement with right turns. I actually don't find right turns to be more improved. I find them to be really crappy. I mean, it gets them done, but I think what would help is if the car would signal before making any turning motions, getting into turning lanes, making the turns, and maybe doing less veering around when it makes the turns. Also, if it could get in the lane that the turn needs it to be in, instead of saying, hey, right turn coming up, let's get into the left turning lane or the far left lane of the road. Oh, left turn coming up, let's get in the right turn lane and see what happens. The areas I drive, it's not safe to let it try and recover. So I just signal for it to get in the correct lane when it tries to get out. And if it ignores my signal, I just yank the wheel, pop it back in the lane it needs to be in, turn it back on, and it figures it out. So yeah, let's see. It used to be that the car would stop too far back and then take a long time to make the turn, with excruciating long time, with a lot of inching forward while jerking the wheel around and inching. Okay, yeah. So that's what you mean by right turns. Right turns from a stop. That is smoother. And yet it did seem kind of like it didn't know what it was doing sometimes. But that wasn't long for me. My problem with right turns is it's the creeping. The creeping and decision making. Sometimes it's too aggressive. Like, it's like creeping for visibility. And then, like, we're in the road, we need to go. Or, hey, why would you go? There's a car right there. Unless we do a ludicrous launch, there's no way in hell you're going to make this turn without us getting into a collision. So in those cases, I push the brake. And other cases, I just launch it because we're already halfway there and the car's coming. Oh, shoot, what are we going to do? Where can I go? Said I still think it's a bit too slow for my taste. I think it's too slow when someone's, oh yeah, this thing is, when someone's behind you, they are overbearing and it's sitting there like a nervous child. The one thing, if you look the part. I don't expect much patience and sympathy with a normal driver sitting behind me to turn while I take a few seconds too long to realize the coast is clear. Yeah, I also find that turning left across some traffic as well, from the traffic lane to the less traffic. I wouldn't call that the one thing I've noticed in a year, as I was saying getting into this, and but yeah, I did notice it as well. Less human. Let's see. I'm saying their study should not should bother doing that. Well to tire might be the better phrase. Yeah, their studies should do that, and hopefully they do, and hopefully they get their get to eat their boot. They probably won't. And Optimus presentation should have Arnold walk out first to really throw people. Yes, that would be awesome. Me, oh, I'm Optimus. And then it really walks out. That would be fun. Not satisfied with how close to the edge of oncoming lane it gets when, yes, especially when it can already see. I totally understand when it's blind, but if it can see, stop creeping. Just saying. You already know you can launch. Yes. All right. And with that, I want to thank all of our patrons and channel members and Zachary for your monetary contributions. I want to thank all of you for your time. I'd like to ask you to click the like button we'll catch you on the flip side. I'll see you guys Wednesday on the Tesla Live Show and What Drives Us, and back here again next Sunday. We've got some more cool projects I'm working on, but with the baby and schedules and stuff just breaking, I'm not going to promise any of them. When they get done, they get done. We'll catch you on the flip side.